Okay, so we're gonna put the speaker on right now, and I'm gonna let people in.
See, when I go to shake hand, watch right now. See how my finger is in right now?
Just touch it out and stay out there. The weekend shit must just stay and go. Justified.
So you get participant 1, 2, and 3. And I don't see anyone in the room. As a matter of fact, I don't even see RCTV anymore.
Correct.
I'm gonna say. So I think we're started. You guys ready? Okay. Hey, Joe, can you let me know you can hear us? It looks like you can. I see you move. Thanks.
Yep.
Let's wait for Walter. I'm just gonna start. Hello, everyone. This is Chuck Tironi, Reading's Conservation Administrator. This meeting is being conducted in person in a remote format consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which further extend the COVID-19 measures regarding remote participation in public meeting until June 30th, 2027. Please note that not all items listed may be in fact discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. The agenda includes those matters that can be reasonably anticipated to be discussed at this meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. All material for this meeting is available at the Conservation Division page under Project by Years. Brian Bowe is Conservation Chair. Facilitate this meeting. Please note there will be a public comment period at the end of each hearing. Each vote taken during tonight's meeting will be conducted by roll call. We'll begin with a roll call attendance. Brian, can you review the agenda and take the roll call attendance?
Yep, I'll start with the roll call, and this is the order that we will vote in. Joe, non-voting, but go ahead.
Joseph Fleury, Associate Member, present.
Walter Talbot, member present.
Michelle, member present.
Keo, member present.
George Slipper, member present.
Martha Moore, Vice Chair present.
Brian Bowe, Chair, present. Now I'll do a quick run through of the agenda. First is a continuation of a public hearing for notice of intent for 0 Small Lane. That will be continued at the applicant's request. That'll be followed by continuation of the public hearing or after the fact request for determination of applicability for Greenhouse Acres condominium. That's it for our hearings tonight. Then we have a number of discussion items or things to vote on, some old and new business, and that is it for this evening. Having said that, we'll start at 7:04. And the first thing, as I said, is 0 Small Lane at the applicant's request. This will be continued until February 11th. Can I have a motion to that effect?
We already voted last time, so we don't even need to vote.
Great. Okay, moving right along then to Greenhouse Acres. Somebody want to speak for you folks?
You wanna
Can you please introduce yourself?
set it up?
Yeah, and I'll read the blurb while you're waiting, Bob. Hang on. Continuation of public hearing on or after the fact request for determination of applicability filed by Greenhouse Acres condominium pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and or the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1. The applicant proposes tree removal, removing 56 trees encroaching on 32 condo units. All work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed during regular business hours at the Town Hall Conservation Office, 16 Lowell Street, Reading, Mass, and on the Conservation Division page under the project by year. 1-30 Carnation Circle, Assessors Map 23, Lot 70.1, 790.1. Introduce yourself,
My name is
please.
Robert Moses. I'm an arborist here in Massachusetts. I am representing Greenhouse Acres on a project that we came in front of a couple of the members and walked the property some time back. We, at my request, had asked to get into the properties before something like this took place, where the blizzard, where we would not be able to get in. And I believe I was given the okay, and that the board would vote on the approval of it after the job was done due to the circumstances with the time. I recognize there were some issues with paperwork to be filled out for permitting by Greenhouse Acres. No harm or malice intent. I think it was just somewhat of some confusion. We did some initial counts when we walked the property with Mr. Brian and Mr. Charles. We went over the project. It had fluctuated a little bit from the time we looked at it until the time we did it. We did take counts of trees removed, trees under 6 inches removed, and snags left. It is my understanding that at the last meeting, we came to terms on the number of trees that would be considered snags, the number of trees that would be considered trees removed over 6 inches, and what Greenhouse Acres would be online to pay for the removal of the trees. I understand that originally Greenhouse Acres had sent a $3,500 check out based on conversations they had with me and Mr. Tyrone. And there was some discrepancies on the number of trees removed after we did the job. And we came up with a number of trees that had to be paid for, which the $3,500 initial payment did not cover. At the last meeting, it was my understanding and agreed that there was an additional $1,500 that would have to be paid into the tree fund or wherever it goes, which Greenhouse Acres has sent the check in. So I believe they're whole on paying the $5,000. Outside of that, I realized that this was done, per se, the cart before the horse. And we appreciate that because now we all know why I wanted to do it this way. With all that being said, there will be some initial work that will have to be done there. And I think Mr. Bowe and Mr. Tyrone walked the property and we did see some other issues. There are a lot of buildings there and there are a lot of trees that are encroaching the property. We agreed on the number of snags, we agreed on the number of takedowns, and I think moving forward, should they decide to move forward with Iron Tree Service and myself and the committee, if they want to do more tree removals, I think it's going to be important that clarity takes place prior to the beginning of the job with the amount of trees, the amount of snags, the amount of saplings that were damaging the wall. For me, I'm going to say this was a learning experience because, as I think some of the people on the board know, I never cut and ask for forgiveness. I always come first to you guys. And that's what I did. And in good faith to these folks and in good faith to the committee, I was trying to work both sides of the fence to do things properly. And I don't want to say it backfired. I just think it got a little convoluted. So with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Anything from the commission?
Hey, Brian, it's Joseph. Can you just elaborate a little bit on this convolution that happened? So was there just a miss in the original count proposed versus what you saw in the walkthrough? Was there something that was uncovered while the work was being done? I guess I'm trying to understand where this miss was.
I think when we walked the property, and I want to be careful saying this, but I was under the understanding that anything under 6 inches, I'm gonna say did not count as a removal. Now, that may be incorrect, but I thought that's how it was. 6 inches and above were trees that were gonna be removed that could be left as a snag, as well as trees bigger than that. So we left a number of snags, more than we thought that we were going to in the beginning, and it wasn't really a financial decision, it was just the way it worked out. We left snags behind some of the buildings that wouldn't look uneasy on the eye from the street and from the driveways. So we tried to leave some of the snags behind the buildings. There were some trees that we had discussed that were damaged. I think there were 3 Alianthus trees, or it was a cluster of 3, which we counted as 2. And Mr. Tyrone gave us, I don't want to say a credit, but he said we were not allowed to have to deal with that as part of the number. I believe originally the number was 47 and it went down to 45. During the process, we did a count at the end with the number of snags we left and the number of trees, and that's where we came up with a final. Originally, when we walked the property, it appeared, we hadn't done a count, we hadn't flagged any trees, but it appeared there were gonna be more than 47. And as it turned out, there were not. After everything was cut, and prior to everything being cut, we did flag everything. Now, whether or not the board went out prior to us cutting, I don't know, but me and a representative from Greenhouse Acres did go out and flag all the trees. With that being said, I'd like to ask you gentlemen, did you go out after I flagged the trees and before we cut them down?
We went out twice with you. I was out there, what, 2 times, Brian?
But did I flag the trees while you guys were there?
They were flagged.
So I think the flags were for the commission that was going to go out on this Monday. So this is the first meeting that the full commission could have gone and seen the trees, and typically that's the Monday before, but because of the weather, they didn't go out. And
So some of the count on the trees, like there was clusters of 2 and 3 inch saplings, we didn't include them in the count because it was my understanding they were not part of it. So I think that's where it got a little convoluted in what trees counted, what trees would have to be paid for, what were left as snags. It was my recommendation to the people at Greenhouse Acres that they left a number of snags, but not to be overzealous, leaving too many as to not have to pay for the trees. I told them they were gonna be in this for the long run, that there were other trees that were gonna have to be removed, other work that was gonna have to be done. And rather than rub the board the wrong way and giving them the impression that they didn't wanna pay, we went on that thought and we paid for, I'm not sure of the number. What was the number we paid for totally? It's in the paperwork we gave you the last time. So I think that was some of the confusion, the size of the trees, what was to be counted, what was to be left. Again, it was all, there was, you know, we were totally upfront. We weren't hiding or trying to duck away from our responsibility to pay for any of the trees.
Any follow-up, Joe?
No, I mean, I think, Brian, this would kind of go back for us to discuss as a commission, but I mean, this is typically why we don't approve things beforehand, correct? Like, we want to make sure that there's clarity in what we're measuring, the size of the trees, the policy itself, so that we can kind of get a better and accurate measurement before any work is conducted. And I understand there was circumstances here that we discussed, you know, with the winter weather and everything else to get some of this work done beforehand, but I'm looking at this property, and if they're going to be coming back, I would just want to make sure that we have clarity of like the process moving forward, how we're measuring things, how we're doing the count, so we don't have the discrepancy moving forward.
I agree.
I think we need some clarity on the number of trees too, because I think the blurb said 56 trees and I see 45 trees in the application and 14 snags. So it would, I'm actually puzzled what is the actual number.
Yeah, the blurb is what goes in originally when the application
Right.
is submitted. So, yeah.
Right, but like, I don't, like, since there's a correction now, like, that there are some other additional trees that was.
Well, my recollection was there were originally, after our site visits, 47 trees. We were given consideration on a cluster of sumacs that had failed and broke. And I believe we got it down to 45 trees. And from there, we left the number of snags, and then we paid for the other trees, $5,000, whatever that calculates out to.
You have the number of snags on that paper, so we have it in the record.
We gave it to you guys,
It's
if
all-
everybody got a copy of it. I would assume you would have
I
had
have
it.
it at my desk if you want me to go and get it.
I mean, the ones online?
No,
The
is it there online?
There is
45 and
one.
14, right?
14 snags?
14 snags, 45 trees. Yep.
Sure that we said it out loud. Martha,
We've had this picture up with the yellow ovals on it. How do those yellow ovals correspond to where the trees are that you cut?
Well, I'm not sure exactly the number of buildings by looking at that, the number of the actual number of buildings, but I believe those were the work areas that were proposed that we did do the cutting on.
So
And I do wanna
all
re-
45 plus 14 trees were in those four regions.
No, 45 total.
45 total,
Out
of
of
which
that, we
14
left
were
14
snags.
snags.
Okay, so it's 31 trees plus 14 snags.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, that did not count all these little tiny, we call them whips in our industry, but they were 6 inches and under. And we were told at the walkthrough that they didn't count.
And so you did cut some of those.
Yeah, little
small trees.
tiny, like
Yeah.
weed stuff, some of them might have had 7 or 8 pieces coming out of what could have been an old stump, because they do sucker out and sprout out. But the substantial side trees, 6 inches and over, there were 14 snags left, and the remainder of the 31 were paid for.
yes,
No questions, no more questions.
yes.
I guess I'm just a little confused about this whole thing. I don't know the history of the property and how this all started. So trees were cut, I guess with verbal permission or.
In front of the
what we
board.
Believe.
They came to the December 10th Conservation Commission meeting because they didn't have enough time to put in permit. Because as Bob explained, they thought the snow was imminent and they needed to get permission to remove the trees for safety reasons prior to snow. So they came to the December 10th. There wasn't enough time to put it in the paper or, notify abutters. So came to the Conservation Commission. Bob talked to the Conservation Commission on that day, and it was the Conservation Commission's decision to move forward with this action.
I see. And then upon further review, there's lies the discrepancy.
Well, I'm not sure what the discrepancy is. So,
That's where I'm getting confused.
yeah, I think that there was, I think what Bob is saying the discrepancy is the fact that they came in with a certain amount of trees and that's gone up or gone down.
Yep.
And now we have a final count after the fact, or after the work was done, so that's the final total. So that might have been the discrepancy. Or the discrepancy, which I'm not sure about, was just our process and trying to understand it when we really didn't issue a permit. So they didn't understand, like Bob keeps on saying, you went out and you cut down a lot of 2 and 3 inch snags or little saplings. And he said he understood that those didn't count, but all the commission members understand that they just don't count on the tree policy. But they do count as alteration in the Wetlands Protection Act. So that seems to be something that
How
needs to be
close is it
discussed.
from that wetland? It looks like from the GIS, like the whole property
No, it's-
surrounded.
Yeah,
it's-
it's
The
a
building
tough,
should have never been built.
it's a tough property. Everything is very, very close. On the side over here with the thin yellow stripes
And they look
on
like
it,
all pine trees.
there's a
that are
retaining
just-
wall.
is what?
And it's kind of flat in that area, but is a retaining wall. On the other side, there's a little bit of space, I don't know, 5 to 15 feet.
Yeah.
And then it's wetland. But what you have to understand about this particular property is that, you look at this type of property, if you have any experience with trees, you can see that they have done nothing to maintain these trees. They basically said it's a conservation area. I don't know what they said, but maybe they said it's a conservation area. We can't touch these. So everything kind of grew in. So when we were walking in back of the houses or the condos, there was patios, small patios, a fence. And a lot of the trees were just like right in that area and shaded out the whole area, shaded out the roof. They had just kind of reached in for the sun. And so this is what we were confronted with, this trees that had grown up into a sizable area and reached in. And so Bob brought us out there and we walked around with somebody in the first place. I'm not sure it was, I don't think it was you.
It was a board member and one of my maintenance staff.
And we walked around the whole site and we gave them the information and we tried to tell them, these are your three options. You plant, you leave snags, so you have to pay into the tree fund. And so that way of, I don't know, just like distributing the information
Yeah.
seems to have been kind of an issue. I'm not sure where things went wrong, but I do think after the fact, we have the correct count and they have chosen not to plant and they wanted to pay in. And so that seems right. So I don't think we have to talk about whether the amount is right or wrong, because Bob went out and I think the groundskeeper went out and counted all the trees when after the fact. So that
So
doesn't seem
whole
to,
area within the hunt.
absolutely, yeah,
So
absolutely.
It's all around it.
Surrounded.
It's surrounded.
Yeah, so Greenhouse Acres, didn't it used to be like a farm? And so, sure. why don't you-
Excuse me, can you come up here and introduce yourself?
Scott Gentile, 54 Azalea Circle. Now that was my family's land before all this. It was greenhouses. Literally.
Greenhouses.
Yes, that's exactly what it was prior to this project being done in the 90s.
Was there any agriculture on the ground or was just all inside the
It was all
greenhouses?
inside. If you look at basically all the greenhouses were in this area over here and the Adamses were over here. And it was just all under glass.
Mhm.
And there was some fields out here, but no, all this forestry has been there forever.
Yeah.
So that goes way back.
And the thing I'd like to reiterate here is, I mean, considering the thickness of the number of trees and plants in there, like Chuck said, when we walked it, if you can reach out and touch them, we'll let you cut them down. And there were a bunch of them that were cut down. It was really a minute number of removals, considering
Yeah.
the thickness of the forest there.
So Bob, wait a minute, let me just explain. That doesn't, so when you're standing on the patio and you're reaching over the fence and the trees are so close, you can just like touch them. So the house is only another 5-10 feet away, you know? So I said, based on my experience with the commission, trees that close, we usually get a yes on. The commission usually says, these trees are too close and you're gonna be able to take them down. That's what I said.
Again, wording, I mean.
Yeah, no,
it's-
I just wanna make sure they understand, because some of these
They
people
understand, 'cause
weren't
they
there,
weren't
they
there.
haven't
Right.
seen the
No, I agree.
property.
Yeah.
And it was always gonna be up to you, so I didn't say, you know, this is how it's gonna happen. I said, it's likely, you know, or these are the ones I usually say yes to. Commission always has the approval.
Okay, so,
And
so
one-
if I can cut in now. So I think we've established a number, 3 snacks. We've established that you have paid the check. And we've established that the paperwork has gone through and been processed. So as far as the work that's been done, that's current, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So a couple of times tonight, you've mentioned that they may come back for additional work, but that's not on the docket for tonight.
Correct. I'm
Right,
just,
so that's-
just putting it out.
That's a possible future thing.
Yep.
So then the question before us is, do we issue and after the fact, order conditions to cover what ended up happening in the end, which was slightly different than what we had approved back in beginning of December.
I can't answer that. That's up to you folks.
I'm just wanted to state it. We can cut out some of the audio.
I can't see putting replacement trees in there.
Mhm.
No, I
I
agree.
can't.
Right.
I agree. In fact, we looked hard at what's on the left screen left, because that's where it was more open. It still wasn't sensible. So that's fine. That leaves them with three options, which they're aware of. One is you replace them. We agree, that doesn't make sense in this case. Two is you leave snags. They did some of that. And then three is you pay into the fund, and they've done some of that.
Yeah.
Which is why I say at this point, it's current. So it's a matter of for us blessing it basically within after the fact.
Didn't we already approve the RDA though? So do we need to vote? Is there another vote on the table, or I guess I'm a little confused. I think we already approved the RDA, right?
The RDA.
Now he's looking for the permit.
Yeah, so this is an after the fact permit.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Process. Kind of knowing the final results.
So it's 250 per tree,
Yeah.
so then that doesn't add up to 5,000. It's 20 trees.
Well,
Not
so
31.
the sheet that you saw online,
Yeah.
which we don't have in front of us, so we can't show, that's what we took our amounts off of.
Whatever
so-
was on the sheet.
Yeah, that would be 7,750 if you're going 31 trees times 250. Not 5,000.
Chuck, do you think $3,500 reasonable?
But they already paid 5.
We paid
Oh, you
five.
paid five. Do you think the five is reasonable?
I think they paid $250 for each tree that they took down. And I think that's a reasonable number because $250 a tree you can't even buy a tree. We bought those trees for Bear Meadow, and the 3-inch caliper 10 to 15 foot tree had tags on them that said $500, $600, for each one of those trees. And so I think that's a good number to put on the commission to try to use that. We actually have to get 3 trees cut down to pay for one and then have volunteers put it in. So that's kind of where we're at. So I think the 250 is a good number for people to understand that it's very, it's a good number to pay. I don't know.
It
what
doesn't,
to say.
Well-
cover the cost that was intended to cover the cost, otherwise you have to keep on adjusting it
Yeah.
with inflation and everything.
Because now it's in the conservation's responsibility to do this. So we weren't trying to instantly find a spot for a tree, but that's good. And do I think the number's correct? Me, Brian, and some people from Essex and Bob had a meeting, and we talked about the numbers and we added them up. And the 2 checks that we received added up to the amount of trees that were taken down, and everyone agreed on that day. So I don't know the numbers right now, and Bob saying, but we were comfortable that the checks we received covered the trees that were taken down.
I think
So-
we're comfortable
but-
with-
No, I think, but the question though, from like Tim, is that it's 45 trees approximately that's in the RDA. 14 snags were removed. You remove the 14 snags, so you have 45 minus 14 times 250. That's 7,750. So 31 trees, 250.
Some of them were under 6 inches in diameter.
So,
That
but-
doesn't sound like that's the real number. I think, when a application comes in, it's always adjusted and it's only final once we approve it. So, the final numbers should be known tonight. But, and if that's it, you probably wouldn't want that to be it because I don't think we got 77, whatever, for the trees. But, again, like I said, we had that meeting and we went over the trees. Bob had a piece of paper. Did you look online? Did you find out if that's the one we reviewed?
You have it there?
I thought you had several copies and I can just. go
You handed
get
them
it.
out to everybody.
That's the uniform going forward.
I think they're intentional.
So we should check out
One
that,
online
but I
doesn't
feel like
have,
we have the amount.
Sheet.
yeah, it's the 1219 sheet that's online, 12/19/2025. So if there was an adjustment made since then, which is over a month, Chuck, you probably have the final number. We would just have to take your word for it.
Looking at Want to run back and get it? It's gonna take
No,
less
I-
time than that.
Sure. I think this may be good. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't say how many are under 6 inches.
Yeah,
Right, that was figured out.
yeah. Let me pass this
It
around.
doesn't matter. Commercial.
So they-
You can-
Okay. That math is agreed upon.
Seems to me that everyone understands that for a future project, you would come to us earlier than December so that we can do it in the right order. And all we need to do today is
I'm good with those.
issue an after the fact permit.
I completely agree. And this was a really new process for us as well.
These are the snags.
Oh, can you get up and say who you are?
These are the
We have to
snags.
add this one and this one together.
Thanks.
Well, you want me to explain?
38?
And
Yeah,
then
if you
I'll-
don't mind.
I only have
Essex
one. of these.
Management Group, the property manager for Greenhouse Acres, and I'm also one of the partners in Essex Management.
All right. So I got, from Greenhouse, these are the calculation we went over, and the date on this is, 12/25 project. I don't have a date on this for our meeting, but was it 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
It was just, I'm not sure.
So here are the numbers. Here are the numbers. Trees taken down. We have a column that adds up to 24. And then there's another column says against the wall, but those are also trees that are taken down, and they say 14. So we have 38 trees with the trees taken down and against the wall. So 38 trees.
Minus 14 snags.
And there's also 18 snags, at least on this list. And,
Yeah, so that gets you your 5,000 number. But yeah, different than the RDA. That's why we were confused on the discrepancy.
250 per tree equals 5,000. So, and then they just show the math that they gave it $3,500 check and then another one for 1,500. So it's right here. Like I said, I had this at my desk, but this is what we talked about at the meeting. Bob, who's worked with the commission a lot. Some of the new members might not know Bob, but he's been in here and there over the course of, I don't know, since I've been here.
Don't say I owe that, Chuck, please. Keep my age on.
So he's always, you know, he always says the same thing. He tries to get the permit, or he gets the permit before he does the work.
Again, that was the unusual thing because of suspected imminent weather was
Yeah.
an approval ahead of time.
Well, I'm comfortable with that
Yeah.
because it wasn't my decision. We brought it to the commission because sometimes that backfires. And you have to get, I don't know what just happened. You have to get the commission, there you go. To, on situations like this, so many trees, asking for kind of different take than other people would get, has to come in front of the commission.
So I'm okay with the $5,000 and the number of samples. I think their intention was good and I could see the concern as well. That's my
So
opinion.
I'm looking for is a motion to issue a negative determination.
I'll make a motion to make a negative determination.
Walter Talbot seconds that motion.
To Michelle in favor. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Walter Talbot's in favor.
To Michelle in favor.
Oh, sorry. Rick Keough in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Ryan Bow in favor. Okay, thank you.
Just, what does
You
that-
didn't,
what does the negative is?
Good point.
Actually, negative sounds bad, it's actually good. It means that you're blessed and free. Before we hang
You're
up,
gonna
I
have to
do,
vote again. You're gonna have to take,
yeah, I do want to at least ask, is there anybody in the public who has any comment or questions? Please say no, because we have to vote again.
I don't see anyone here online raising their hands. In fact, it's online.
So Tom, the gist of a negative determination is we determined that it will not impact the wetland significantly, and we don't have to go to a notice of intent.
All right,
Good.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good seeing you again. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
There's no money in your hand, right?
I wish it was. It'd still be in my pocket. Thank you, guys. Nice meeting you.
Oh, yeah, we was playing at the restaurant years ago, yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank
safe.
you.
Okay,
I grew up in that.
so that's it for our hearing for the evening. Brings us to discussion vote items. The first one is the DCR Trail Grant. Been a lot of work over the past few weeks,
Thank you.
Bye.
and did you want to, what about it? Okay. So at this point, we've been producing two documents. The first is the actual grant document itself. You get a form from the state, different questions, some short yes or no, some essay, these bigger few sentences. We've been working that for quite some time, and there's still some work to be done, but it's in pretty good shape. The second document is called a budget and timeline spreadsheet. The budget is, of course, what you think the cost will be for different items on the project. And the money is split into two columns. One is what we're asking for in the grant, and one is the money that we will pay as a match. The state requires that applicants like us cover at least 20% of the total in our match. And there's some guidance spreadsheet that Chuck found that helps in case we can't do the math. And that comes out, it's the same we did with pure math, so. Let's see, so just to give you a sense of the numbers, it is approximately 90,000 total value, because we were looking for $75,000 actual grant money. And the difference is the match, which is 18,000 and change. So those are the three salient points. We have to get this submitted by February 2nd, I believe.
Might as well say Monday at 12:59.
Monday at 12:59,
Maybe,
February 2nd.
wait a minute, that would be wrong, 11:59.
Yes, right.
And
Missed
I
by an
think
hour.
you're off by a little bit on how much they would give us. They'd only give us 72 because we're putting in 18 to total up
No,
to
no, no.
90.
No,
Oh, can we not go over the math? This is
Okay.
like so inside baseball. I
All right.
mean,
Okay.
doesn't matter, but no,
I'm-
anyway.
I found a calculator from them.
Okay.
We're just going with it.
So we
Okay.
use our numbers. We can point to that. So that's basically the point.
And you can put in different numbers. But again, doesn't matter how it happens, we're using that calculator.
Okay.
So we are working towards completion. One point I will say is that we are intending to use the spurt work as our match. The work that's being done for the spurs that reach to the boardwalk that's going to be elevated boardwalk that's going to be built, that work is what we're looking to consider as our match.
Or we could say more accurately, we're trying to see if we can use the spur work as our match. So I have reached out to the DCR and Amanda Lewis. So we'll see if I get an answer. We have a few days. We have Plan B too, so we're still good. We'll put the permit, the application in on either on Friday or on early Monday morning. But we'll have it completed by then.
I apologize for the math. I like math.
Is there any support you guys need to get over that deadline for Monday or Tuesday, the 2nd?
I don't think so. Not at this point.
I just
Okay.
want to make a plug. If we had in the past passed CPA money could be used for our 20%, and then the state grant gives us the rest, and town budget doesn't have to pay any. Right now, we're using town budget for our 20%, building the spurs with town budget money that was voted for the recal.
Yeah, Recal
Recal.
Center.
Yep. Okay.
So
And-
that's one of the things we were looking at with CPA is it can provide the match money that the town has to put in if we're going to apply for state grants for various projects.
I do want to wrap it up by pointing out the obvious. It's been a lot of work. Walter started it all, Martha's been involved, so.
And
We-
Chuck,
we're getting
don't,
there.
min-
Well,
don't miss Chuck.
He'll mention himself, so. So anyway, we're getting there. It's been a learning experience for everyone, well, at least for us, and theoretically it gets easier. Okay,
Without being an alarmist, may I make a recommendation?
sure.
We converted Word into Google Docs. It has to, I believe it has to be converted back into Word.
And that process of entering it has begun.
Okay, and then make sure it's all proofed, because Word misinterprets.
And
Google
actually,
Docs.
you don't put it into Word and submit the doc, you actually enter it online in the fields.
Okay.
Okay.
But I agree with Walter. After we paste, there needs to be a.
Yeah, a little common sense would be
Yeah.
good.
A little
Because you're
review.
putting Google Docs into Word.
Or into an online form.
When everything's in there, except for the uploads, we could send out the link. Me and Brian were talking about that this morning, and it seems like, I don't know, but maybe, so I wanted to put everything in it first and then send the link out, and you guys can look it over the weekend.
Yeah, if you've done any online state forms, you get to a section, when you finish a section, you can save and leave. And you have a link to that place where you left it. So as long
And all
as,
the changes you made.
as long as Chuck has that
You just
link,
leave,
and
you
can
don't get,
circulate it, you can.
you don't
look
get
at it.
that. And if you use the old link, it seems like it comes up to where it was before. So that's why everyone has to like resend the new link. Anyways, that's still, well, that's what we talked about. So
Yeah.
I haven't checked it, but maybe that's how it works. So Joe, thanks for asking, but I feel like we're pretty good if we, I mean, where we're lacking something is I think we could probably upgrade all of our aerials and our sketches and maps. We have Activitas who did the permitting on Recal. They're not available to make those plans. And our IT person is out on leave. So kind of we started doing this ourselves. And
Okay, so that's the end of the Trails grant. The second grant we're working on.
geez, was I finished talking? I don't know.
I think we were, that thing is
I don't
moving,
know.
yeah.
I guess I'll take your cue.
You're always talking.
You're done.
Yeah, all right there,
So-
Dad.
so the second grant we're working on is one for utility vehicle to help us with the work on the properties we have. Chuck has found a good piece of equipment, looked a number of places. Tim was looking a number of places to try and find something as well. So where we've ended up is Kubota, am I saying that right?
Absolutely. That's how it goes.
That too.
Both.
No
Kubota.
Q, it's okay.
UTX. The price is about $28,000. We are doing a 30% match, and looking for 70% of it in grant money. And I won't get into more money things because it's apparently not fun. So that one is also nearing completion. It was a much simpler form.
You going through MB Tractor for that, or do you know?
So what we have to do is we had to get at least 3 bids. They recommend getting them prior to submitting the grant and uploading them. But MB was one of them, and just some others. I just looked up Kubota places. They're really just the
I'll
closest
trade in
ones.
Wilmington, and there's a guy from Reading that works for them that might be able to
Yep, MB was one,
facilitate
MB was
something or
one of them.
give them
We got the, well, we have to go with the lowest bid. There's reasons why we wouldn't have to go with the lowest bid, but, that's the advice.
they
Probably
could be the lowest bid, and since they're 5 miles away for service and everything else, sometimes always going with the lowest bid if they're not good for service or not, it ends up costing you more in the long run.
Yeah.
So if you can find something,
The bids were
local.
very competitive.
Yeah,
It
find something
wasn't
local, it'll be better.
much, you could actually throw a dollar bill on the
$500
difference
probably.
of 3 of them. So what's gonna happen is if you want, if we're awarded, we can bring the decision back to the Conservation Commission. But, the town, in my opinion, based on our other, grants and our other bids that we had, will have a final say on, you know, if, let's say you don't pick the lowest bid,
Right, yeah.
procurement's gotta weigh in on that, all right? So it's usually just the lowest bid.
I
Okay.
think given the opportunity, they probably would be, you know, but it's up to, it's up to them.
Yeah, I mean, the bids are in.
Right.
It's like, I mean, we're gonna submit the permits either Friday or Monday, so it is what it is at this point. They were very good. I was surprised. I was surprised at how many came in exactly like that same number. So they all know what's going on.
Chuck, what's the process for that 30% that we're going to be putting up? Is that something that's already approved, or how does that work?
So it's actually not the Conservation Commission that's going to be putting up 30%. Well, they're gonna be putting up some of it. So, with a conversation with the chair, I asked if the request for next year's budget could include a stipend for this, because it has to be purchased July 1st. So
Okay.
the money will be available. So I said, there's, the Trails Committee's putting in a certain amount
Mhm.
of money, and then the Conservation Commission is gonna put in about $3,000.
Okay.
And that's how we came up with the 30%. You know, there's more to it about how it's worked out in that way, but long and short of it is the Trails Committee will probably be using it the majority of the time. Trails, and then Conservation wanted to have part of it. It's gonna be kept at the cabin, you know, all that. So it's a shared use vehicle, and I think that works well with the grant also.
Does that include the trailer too?
There's no trailer. This is just a vehicle. That's all we have.
Okay.
That if we needed a trailer, it would be something that would be, you know, purchased in future years, or another grant for that trailer, and then we could drive it around. But you did ask, how did we come up on that number? So you only have to put in 20%. And why did we raise it? Because I looked at the past awards from DCR, and they were under 20,000. And so including last year. And so I felt, that's why I called Brian in the first place. I said, look, I don't know if we can come up with some more money, but it might be worth it if we could, to make our request a little bit more palatable. And so Brian said that, you know, he'll present the budget, and hopefully the commission will say yes.
We'll get to that when you have your budget conversation next.
Yeah, so
Okay, I think that wraps up the vehicle grant, which then brings us to a budget update. Rick, do you want to update us?
he doesn't know about your email, sir.
He doesn't know, that's, so no major update at the moment. I did do some discovery, find out that there was in fact a $2,500 budget line, expense line in the 2026 budget. What I don't know if that was a one-time budget line item or if it's recurring. I don't know those answers yet. Chuck's gonna coordinate a meeting on Tuesday between me, Chirac, and Joe with Andrew
McNichol.
McNichol, thank you. to go over those unanswered questions that I have and the best steps moving, his recommendation on how we want to move forward. And I think you're gonna have more time opening it up to kind of work with us a little bit.
Yeah, these grants have taken a little bit of
Yeah.
our time. So on, on Tuesday, it'll be fine. I did talk to Andrew today. I did, and when we got the times of the meeting, I only was able to send him an email. So I'll answer that tomorrow. I'll get back to you. As far as the best way to go forward, I'm not sure if that's going to be, he might recommend it, but we've always said, like the town forest committee, they went to town meeting. And then there was this. I guess I answered the question at the last meeting and I said, we don't have a budget. That I was thinking about something else. That budget, I believe the year before was $2,000 and I believe it's $2,500. I think it was around for 2 years. I may be mistaken. It may just be 1 year. So we've had conversations about how to use that money and what to do with that money, but none of them include, maintenance or equipment, but
We are using the money though, right?
well, absolutely. You don't use it, it's a problem, yeah. So there's several options. So I'm not sure if I can just take it one more minute. We thought we had some interns last year, and at the last minute after they agreed, they reached out and said, can you pay us? And so we didn't get some interns because we couldn't pay them. One of the options is to use this money to pay them and move forward.
And I have reached out to the schools
to
where
know.
we're going to get the interns to say, we now have paying internships, don't have candidates yet. Started the
Yeah,
process.
so it's a big difference because they can come in and we've had them in the past and they've come in and they've done a lot of work and helped us out and basically taken over some projects. So we've had some things that we've kind of held up on, hoping we could find someone, and that will springboard us into next year with what we do at the pavilion and programming at the pavilion and some sort of our media presence.
We paying them $15 an hour?
So it seemed to me that it was like a stipend for the entire summer. So the Next Step volunteers, that's generally in the area of what they get also.
Okay.
And so they're all college kids, that are just hired to be part of this group. And so I was talking to them and that's in the general area, and I can know from my kids, same thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that offer more, but at least we have something now.
Right, you have
From what I've
something
seen,
to work with.
From what I've seen from the schools, they typically expect that you will have 100 hours in the course of the summer and pay a lump sum, and the individual can work fewer part days or more full days in conjunction with what our needs are. So it's flexible, to say the least.
And are you setting their agenda?
I have a big part in it, but the way this works, it's run by the Conservation Commission, specifically by Brian Bowe, because the town doesn't have a policy on it in turns.
Okay. Anything else you want to cover?
The meeting.
Okay. In that case, next is old new business. Chuck, anything you want to say about the coordination meeting with DPW?
The last coordination meeting was just me and Mike Tessman. This upcoming one, which is next week, nothing's really come up. They're waiting for my list of issues and repairs that I want done this year. I haven't paid too much attention to that. I may be able to get it out by that meeting. But, and the reason why is because the last several weeks we've been working on these grants and other things. So that'll all free up some time and I'll be able to do that. And if it doesn't come up at this meeting, it'll come up the next one. But these meetings are typically for the DPW to let us know where they'll be working so we can check out the areas and give them advice on how the Conservation Commission would proceed and if they need a permit or not. And so we also use these meetings for conservation to ask questions about things that they've seen around town. Like, I don't know, like a tree being cut up in the middle of an open field. Hey, who's doing that? Did you spot that? Didn't get on See Click Fix. You know, I made that up, but you know, those are things like there's 6 members and Joe, we have 7. So anyone who sees something should report it. Should go into See Click Fix, but if it's not appropriate for See Click Fix, it should go into my inbox and we'll bring it up at the meeting.
Okay. I have no updates on violation notices. Last I told you, homeowner progress. Hard to see now how well it's going to turn out, but I will continue to watch it. So next is administrative report. Chuck, Matera Cabin.
Yeah, so we're still waiting for some direction. The last communication we had with the new building commissioner is that he wants to go with the old commissioner, Steve, can't think of his last name, our old building commissioner who's left, his recommendations. That's what I heard. I think that came mostly through a conversation with Glenn Redmond or another. So we were told that there's a list of things that we need to do. Unfortunately, that list is pretty stringent. I'm not sure the volunteers could do much or any of that work. We haven't got together staff meeting with Jane Wellman or Matt Trinellis to go over that list. The commissioner's recommendation, now that he's kind of got in here and been here a few weeks, so it might be a little bit more time, and who is going to take care of this. So our liaison, and I'm blanking on her last name, Melissa Murphy, thank you, reached out to me and said, hey, is there anything I can do to help move along the cabin? How's it going? Didn't get a chance to answer, but it's out of our hands. We really need the town managers to talk to the building commissioner, get a final list, and then find out how that work is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, I mean, if I were to ask, I mean, conservation should be curious. It's been a while. Maybe conservation should reach out. Melissa, we could reach out to Melissa and ask her to reach out. I'm not sure at that point. It feels like I don't want everyone to call at once because I know things are moving just really slow.
I will point out, obviously on the record, that it's been shut down for quite some time. So there's rentals we're not getting, which is income that we're not getting to offset other needs in a time when the town has some financial challenges now and coming up soon. So it's unfortunate for a number of reasons.
When you say quite some time, we're going back to the summer.
That's quite
It's
some
not-
time.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting to be a very long time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you know, if I had a piece of property I couldn't rent for 6 months, that would be a whole draining money out of my
Yeah,
pocket.
I mean, it wasn't bringing in 50,000 a year or anything, but again, it's money that we're not getting that has to come from somewhere else or something doesn't get done.
Yeah,
Just
we've
pause. Sorry.
I was gonna say, we've gone through a couple building commissioners too, so it's hard to get, you know, some traction on this project. I think we can do it now. Again, we're gonna put it off until next week at least. And then, but like I said, Melissa had reached out and that's, you know, we can think about how that can happen. I know that Karen Herrick mentioned it at a select board meeting saying, hey, what's happening? But I was just told recently by Jane Wellman that she knows that people are you know, wondering what's going on. So when she told me that, I figured like a bunch of people were asking and keeping track and understand that it's still closed. So I'm not saying that nothing's happened. I'm just saying that we've had some challenges. And I fully expect to get it open, and I'll do my best. And I know that the people that usually volunteer with me would help also. But we're not going to be able to do, we're not going to be able to do a lot of the work that they're asking.
So we need to find someone else to do that? Is that the?
So that's the process that Matt Cronellis, town manager, assistant town manager, would, and the select board and others. So like, you know, we didn't have a budget for this situation. And Martha will say right away, and we don't have CPA. So there's no avenue for the Conservation Commission to get the money to get this fixed. So that's why it needs to be kind of like a big group discussion. And, you know, maybe a little bit comes from conservation, maybe a little bit comes from public services. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know that people want it back open. Like I said, Jane had just recently talked to me about it.
There's a budget for that? Like what's?
There's no budget at this moment for it, but I mean, specifically for Matera Cabin, there's probably a budget for repairs and things like that on town buildings.
No, I mean like to get it up and running, like from
No.
the, we don't have budget.
Is there an estimate for the work that needs to be completed though? I think we talked about this a couple months ago.
At the point where we have a final list of what the building commissioner has said he wants done.
Yeah.
And which was, I think it was Steve Fredericks. He had put a list together that was different from the engineer's list. That he said that this is what I would like to see happen. And our new building commissioner talked it over with Glenn, and they came to the same conclusion that that list needs to be done.
And
But that was an email to everyone. There's been
Yeah.
no response to that email. There hasn't been a staff meeting, so that may change, that list.
You can imagine the kinds of questions. One is, what's the final list? What's the pace at which the town wants these things to be done? In other words, when do they want it to be reopened? Is there levels of completeness that make sense in order to get some number of occupants? I mean, there are those kind of questions, not to mention where the money's gonna come from in the first place.
I can answer the last one. So they are only trying, we can only achieve the lowest number of occupancies, which is a total of 20 people.
Okay.
The next step would require an additional bathroom.
Well,
You can get a waiver, so I guess I mean, like, what do I know? I'm the conservation guy that read the information myself, but the building commissioners know all about this stuff, and they know about the waivers and whatnot, so I know that you could get a waiver, but you could also put in a bathroom, so.
okay. Anything more from you in your report?
Yeah, just to say, it's going slow, I know that, but I know that everybody is still trying to do their best to get the cabin open here at Town Hall.
Is that something that can be a budget request for the budget that starts July 1? If we don't have a budget now, can we at least budget it for next year?
So is the building is a town asset, and I don't think it's our responsibility to maintain it. To upgrade it, I'm not sure. I need
I
this next meeting.
don't mean us,
Oh, it sounded like you
conservation.
meant us.
us, the town. Can some town budget line include the Matera cabin repairs so that we don't waste this beautiful asset we have?
So we haven't got to a point we even know what the work is, or someone said this is the final list that needs to be done, and gotten estimates on the list, so we don't even know what that money is, and maybe there was some budget money around that could handle it, I'm not sure. So all those questions haven't been answered yet. I think we're at a point where it needs to go back to a staff meeting, or some decisions have to be made. I think that we've reviewed it through an engineer twice. We've got the old commissioner's email on what he wants done, and we've got the new commissioner's email on what he thinks needs to be done. So we have that ready for a next step.
Which is getting an estimate.
No, I think that's a staff meeting to decide, to talk to those guys and, you know, there's always two sides, so. And let's see what happens in that staff meeting, and then we'll have a final list. And then we would probably need an estimate. That's not gonna be up to us to get an estimate, I don't think. I don't, again, you're making me guess. I don't wanna get in trouble here with anybody in town hall, so I prefer not to guess. Final statement is they're doing their best to move forward, but we've had some challenges with, you know, people moving around and whatnot.
We don't know how
New
much
people
money's
coming
in the Matera fund to keep.
What's that?
We have no idea how much money's in that Matera fund to keep it running. No money going into it.
So
right?
it's not, so from my understanding, when it was under my control, there was a line item that was unfunded. So now it's taken care of by facilities, so they probably have a chart telling them when to replace the roof and whatever, but the unexpected things, like a couple of years ago, tree branch fell on the roof and it had to be repaired. And so that was all taken care of through our insurance and facilities. So they are taking care of the cabin. I don't know what that means. Is that just the outside and the roof and things like that, or is the inside? So that's not in my department.
Yep.
Okay, I'll rescue you and say
Thanks.
that project is closed. So what's next is minutes for approval.
We don't have any new minutes as far as I know.
But you've all read the new minutes that we don't have yet. Okay, well, then that is it. Any last topics before we consider adjournment?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Joe Fleury, so Millette Thompson Morgan, well, how's the entrance over there by, what is it, 61, Willow Street?
Yeah, I was gonna send you a text today. It's a bit of a mess. I know DPW is doing a great job cleaning up the roads and the parking lots. This one hasn't really been touched yet. It looks like, I don't know, someone might have done like a little 3-foot path all the way down the main entrance. But I took my son and another neighbor out on the sled, and it's about 2 feet deep out there. So I felt like Rocky IV, the training montage sequence there when he's going through the Siberia or whatever. But yeah, that parking lot is it hasn't been plowed yet. So probably 2 walkers a day at most down in Millett's Homes the last couple of days.
Well, I do want you to know that I got another call from someone else about lot 5. And so I was only talking about, did someone go down there with a snow blower and make a kind of a walking path? That's
Yeah. Yeah, someone did.
It's on a DPW priority list. So
Yep.
when you finish the school, the parking lots around the, I don't know, the hydrants, and there's a breathing space, they get to conservation. It's always been that way. They've always let me know that.
Yep.
So, you know, sometime, I think like Matera might be done. I think that somehow that might be done. Someone told me that, but I know others haven't been done. But it's not this is a big storm. They're still digging out. They're digging out tonight. And at some point they'll get to the conservation property.
Yeah.
And
Like I said, I mean, it's 2 feet deep. I mean, I was thinking I had snowshoes on, I was still sinking in about a foot. So you're not going to be using that trail like most of the dog walkers. You can barely see your dog in there. So, you know, in terms of priority, I totally understand.
I think that's worked out well with the DPW in the past. I don't think in the past we've got snow like this before all at once. So
But even if they clear the
people have
parking
to
lot,
be
they can't
patient.
use the trail, so.
Yeah.
Cross-country skiers could.
Yeah, I was going to say snowshoeing and cross-country ski works perfectly. But Chuck, I know we ran into this last year too. If you do talk to the DPW next week, just make sure that they're not blocking the ADA path. But as I said, it's nearly impossible just to walk on those trails to begin with. So snow storage down there, we just can't really block the 2 trailheads. That's all. It's a little tight.
You'd be surprised how quickly dog walkers and their dogs make a path. There's always some bigger dogs who trail break, and very quickly you'll see two side-by-side paths, you know, either two people walk in or a dog and a person. That won't take more than a few days.
Yeah, so,
With this deep.
so Joe, there's no way they're gonna know where those trails are. And so if you think of
Yeah.
that area, it's, you know, the Abidjona River, so
Yep.
they know automatically not to push it that way.
Yep.
There's the detention
Yeah.
or the pre-treatment area.
Yep.
That seems like a good spot to put snow. Maybe they know that, but that's next to one of the paths you're talking about. Actually, that's in the center of both paths that you're talking about.
It
So this
is.
might
Yep.
be something where, you know, I was gonna say put something, you can't even put anything up there, but if people started walking on it before they get to plow it, maybe it's more noticeable. But we can always go back and say, hey, can you move some snow in these two areas? They'll probably go right back out. So again, I don't feel like I need to tell them what to do at this moment
Sure.
because
Yeah.
I know how to define those areas, and that might be what they told me. Show us where they are and we'll avoid them.
Yeah. I think that's yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, worst case, even taking away a parking spot or something like that. But this is the first time we've gotten 2 feet of snow since 2022, and we didn't have the lot then, so not a real issue right now. So
The positive side is that the cars from Austin Prep can't park there either, so.
to be fair, they stopped after that first week, which was good. So
Boy, so that's it. Can I have a motion to adjourn at 8:12?
I move to adjourn at 8:12.
Second, everybody else is in favor.
All in favor?
Hey.
Thank you.
night, everyone.
Nope.
Quick ones. Wow.